There are findings that rattle astronomy, findings that leave astronomers scratching their heads. And then there are discoveries that rip the floor out from beneath physics itself. The kind that make Nobel Prize winners fall silent during interviews. The kind that cause cosmologists to shut their laptops and quietly mutter, "This shouldn't be possible." The kind that force even the most confident defenders of the Big Bang to freeze mid-sentence, because the data in front of them simply should not exist. And the James Webb Space Telescope has now delivered exactly that kind of discovery. Something so deeply contradictory, so violently incompatible with everything we think we know about galaxy formation, cosmic evolution, and even the origin of matter, that scientists are being pushed, reluctantly, nervously, and sometimes publicly, to admit that something fundamental is wrong with our understanding of the early universe. Webb has looked deeper than any instrument humanity has ever built. It peered past the cosmic dark ages into the era where the very first sparks of starlight were supposed to flicker into existence. And instead of faint, primitive baby galaxies slowly condensing out of hydrogen clouds, Webb found monsters. Hyperbright, perfectly structured, impossibly massive objects that should not exist for another billion years. Objects that don't behave like galaxies, don't form like galaxies, don't evolve like galaxies. Objects that may not be galaxies at all, as image after image arrived, each one shattering a different piece of the cosmological model. A realization began spreading through the scientific community like a silent shockwave. James Webb didn't just reveal something new. It cracked physics itself. It began with a single object, a small yellow smudge buried in one of Webb's deep field images, almost invisible among thousands of faint points of light. There was no reason to think it was special. Nothing that screamed anomaly, except one detail that refused to go away. It was too bright, not just slightly brighter than expected, bright in a way that violated every luminosity model we have for the early universe. At first, astronomers assumed it had to be closer. A distance illusion, the kind of mistake that happens all the time in deep field observations. But spectroscopy destroyed that explanation instantly. The redshift was enormous. The distance was real. They were staring at the most distant galaxy ever observed, existing when the universe was only 290 million years old. And yet, it didn't look young. It wasn't small. It wasn't chaotic. It wasn't primitive. It looked massive, organized, fully formed. A veteran appearing in an era where only newborns should exist. And this is where quiet panic began to spread behind the scenes. Because if even one fully formed galaxy existed that early, then our entire framework for early universe physics collapses. And within days, Webb revealed it wasn't alone. Not a fluke, not an outlier, but the first wave of a flood of objects that break every rule in our cosmic playbook. James Webb's deep fields were meant to show cosmic infancy, faint, scattered pinpricks of light marking the earliest steps of structure formation. But when Webb turned its infrared vision towards some of the darkest regions of the cosmos, what it saw wasn't infancy at all. It was maturity, complexity, activity. Thousands of strange objects appeared in these images. And the closer astronomers looked, the clearer it became. These weren't early galaxies. They were too bright, too compact, too massive, too organized. They didn't match any known form of proto-galaxy predicted by standard cosmology. And the most disturbing part? They're everywhere. Not one anomaly, not two, but an entire population of cosmic structures that simply should not exist so early. One recent study identified 87 potential galaxies forming just 200 to 400 million years after the Big Bang, a number so absurdly high that it directly contradicts the lambda CDM model, the very backbone of modern cosmology. One of the study's authors admitted openly, even if only a handful of these objects are real, galaxy formation must be rethought from the ground up. And that's the unbearable truth. Webb is not revealing a slow, gently evolving universe. It's revealing a universe that appears to have skipped the opening chapters entirely. A universe that looks too old at the edges. one that matured far too quickly, a universe behaving as if the Big Bang timeline is either incomplete or wrong. And as if that weren't enough, Webb uncovered something even more unsettling, something that directly violates basic physics. In every galaxy we know today, only about 10% of gas ever turns into stars. That limit is so consistent, so universal, it's considered a cosmic rule. But Webb has now identified early objects where 100% of the gas has become stars. Every atom, every molecule, converted. This is impossible under current physics. Galaxies require time to cool, collapse, fragment, cycle through starbursts, and quenching. But these objects behave as if they were assembled by an entirely different mechanism, a process that doesn't exist anywhere in modern astrophysics. These objects aren't acting like galaxies. They're acting like something else, something we don't even have language for yet. Some scientists are now quietly suggesting that these may not be galaxies at all, but an unknown category of cosmic object that predates every model we've built. And that idea is more terrifying than any anomaly so far, because it suggests we aren't missing details. We're missing an entire chapter of cosmic history. For nearly a century, we've believed that distant galaxies move away from us because space itself is expanding. The farther away they are, the faster they recede, some faster than the speed of light. According to relativity, their light should never reach us. And yet Webb sees them. Galaxies beyond the Hubble sphere. Galaxies receding faster than light. Objects that should be permanently hidden beyond the cosmic horizon, and yet their photons arrive. The usual explanation is that the Hubble sphere grows over time, allowing new regions to come into view. But Webb's observations stretch that explanation to its breaking point. We're seeing objects that, according to our equations, should have outrun their own light forever. And if that's true, then something is deeply wrong with our understanding of cosmic expansion. Either relativity is incomplete, or the geometry of space is far more complex than we imagined, or the early universe behaved in a way no existing theory predicts. Webb has exposed the greatest paradox in observational cosmology. We're seeing things we should never be able to see. The observable universe spans about 92 billion light-years. But that number isn't a physical wall, it's a visibility limit. And Webb is showing us objects so mature at the very edges of that observable bubble that their existence implies something unsettling. Structure must have existed before the cosmic microwave background was released. The Big Bang model says the universe began 13.8 billion years ago in a hot, dense state. But if galaxies appear too old, too massive, too evolved just 200 to 300 million years later, then the early universe wasn't a blank slate. It was already organized. Some Nobel Prize winning physicists are now entertaining a radical idea. The universe may not have had a beginning at all, that the Big Bang wasn't the start, but a transition, a phase change in a universe that already existed. Webb may not just be showing us early galaxies. It may be revealing fossilized traces of a cosmic era that predates the Big Bang itself. And if that's true, then cosmology must be rewritten from scratch. The standard model depends on a singularity, a single point where everything began. But Webb's discoveries shatter the timeline so violently that the singularity itself becomes questionable. If structures formed everywhere at once, if matter appears distributed beyond causal limits, then the idea of a single birth point collapses. The only remaining explanation is deeply unsettling. If the universe is infinite today, then it was always infinite. The Big Bang didn't happen in one place. It happened everywhere at once, across an already infinite expanse. And if the universe has always existed in some form, then what Webb is showing us aren't early galaxies at all. They're remnants of processes that began long before the Big Bang became visible. This isn't a tweak to the model. It's the end of it. Webb's most disturbing revelation is that scientists don't actually know what these objects are. They aren't galaxies. They aren't quasars. They don't match protostars, clusters, or nebulae. They're compact, hyperluminous, star-dense structures burning with impossible efficiency. They don't follow known formation rules. They don't fit any timeline. They don't respond to physics as we currently define it. They may represent an entirely new class of cosmic structure, something from a chapter of the universe we never knew existed. And that means this isn't just about anomalies. It's a cosmic identity crisis. After decades of confidence, James Webb has delivered a discovery so catastrophic that it forces a conclusion no one wanted to face. The Big Bang model cannot explain the universe we are seeing. Not the timing, not the mass, not the brightness, not the star formation, not the structure, not the expansion. Nothing fits. If these objects are galaxies, the model is broken. If they aren't galaxies, then we've discovered something entirely new at the very edge of time. Either way, physics loses. And that's why scientists are panicking. Because when a telescope shows you something that should not exist, you have only two options: change the data or change the universe. And the data isn't changing. James Webb has forced physics to break. Now it has to be rebuilt. When you place all of Webb's contradictions side by side, the impossible brightness, the impossible mass, the impossible distances, timelines, star formation rates, expansion paradoxes, and early structure, a pattern emerges. And it isn't subtle. It's screaming that the story we've told about the universe for nearly a century is fundamentally wrong. These objects aren't forming. They aren't primitive. They're fully assembled beasts appearing when the universe should barely be learning to crawl. Yet it's already sprinting, building stars at maximum efficiency, assembling compact structures faster than physics allows, skipping hundreds of millions of years of evolution. And the worst part? They aren't rare. They're everywhere, scattered across Webb's deep fields like cosmic landmines, each one detonating another piece of the Big Bang timeline. Even if only a few are real, the standard model collapses. Webb shows dozens. And that's when you understand why astrophysicists are panicking quietly behind closed doors. Because the universe Webb reveals doesn't begin small and innocent. It begins fully awake. Too old, too organized, too mature. Which leads to a terrifying question. What if the universe didn't begin the way we think? What if the Big Bang wasn't a beginning, but a transition? What if the observable universe is just the surface of something far older, deeper, and stranger than our equations were ever designed to describe? Because when galaxies appear too early, too bright, too massive, the problem isn't the galaxies. It's the model. And that is the realization James Webb has delivered with devastating precision. We weren't wrong about the objects. We were wrong about the universe. I'd love to hear what you think about this, so drop a comment below. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please share this video and subscribe to help the channel grow. Every bit of support counts.